I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about a UFC welterweight names who he thinks is Jon Jones' biggest threat in the heavyweight division. Jon Jones is considered by many to be the greatest of all time of MMA. Earlier this month at UFC 285, the New York City native Jon Jones, the New York native Jon Jones furthered his case with such tall praise when he captured the UFC heavyweight title, submitting the number one ranked heavyweight contender Cyril Gane in the very first round. Despite Jon Jones' remarkable performance, UFC welterweight Belal Muhammad doesn't believe Jon Jones will be invincible at heavyweight. The 34-year-old expressed a well-rounded fighter like Curtis Blades, who he feels has equally good wrestling as well as striking, will present problems for Jon Jones. As per Remember the Name, Blades only struggles against fighters with big power, which Belal Muhammad believes Jon Jones doesn't possess. Answering a question to his MMA subreddit, Belal stated, "I think Curtis Blades is a threat. He has great wrestling and striking. He only struggles with guys that have big power. I don't think Jon Jones has big power. If Razor past fights or any proof, Belal Muhammad might not be too far off. All three of the 32-year-old's losses have come via stoppages against fighters with big knockout power. His two defeats were to former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, who is widely considered to be among the hardest hitter in all combat sports. The first time the duo fought, Curtis Blades lost via a doctor stoppage after the second round. In the second meeting in 2018, Curtis Blades was knocked out by Francis Ngannou in the very first round. His third professional loss came via a second round knockout against Derek Lewis, who in his prime was one of the finest knockout artists in the UFC promotion. Curtis Blades, currently the number 4th ranked heavyweight in the UFC, is on a 3-fight win streak and might very well get a crack at Jon Jones' title down the line. Okay, I mean, you can't disagree with that. I mean, you know, the problem with the heavyweight division is that you could only name like 4 or 5 contenders at the moment. But, you know, I would say Blades would be one of those names. I can't say that Blades. I think Blades is undoubtedly the biggest threat because Blades, his next fight will be against, I believe you pronounce it Sergey Pavlovich. So Sergey Pavlovich could be undoubtedly the biggest threat for Jon Jones in the UFC heavyweight division. But Jon Jones also has to fight Stipe Miocic next, and some consider Stipe Miocic the greatest heavyweight of all time. So that's going to be a huge threat. You know, that's going to be a big problem for Jon Jones. Who else is there? There's also Tom Aspinall, who I believe Curtis Blades defeated last year because of an injury to Tom Aspinall. But, you know, we wanted to see the fight between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. You know, now where I disagree with Belal Muhammad is that he says, I don't think Jon Jones has big power. I totally disagree with that, you know, because power is kind of relative. You know, if you're just saying, you know, does Jon Jones have one punch knockout power? You know what I mean? You could say no, but in the heavyweight division, kind of everyone does, right? So I don't think, you know, Curtis Blades can just take a straight-on good punch by Jon Jones and just eat it, right? You know, because Jon Jones is now in the heavyweight division. We haven't seen, you know, the power, but we saw the power when he took down Cyril Gane, right? So he's definitely a big boy, and maybe he doesn't have quote-unquote one punch knockout power, but I think Jon Jones has big enough power in the heavyweight division that, you know, if he touches somebody, that person goes down. But like I said, Tom Aspinall, Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades, Stipe Miocic, there's a lot of fights for Jon Jones in the UFC heavyweight division, and they'll, you know, obviously the level of competition will step up in future fights. But, you know, I don't disagree with Belal Muhammad, but I have a few more names there that Stipe Miocic could be the biggest threat. Sergey Pavlovich, who's fighting Curtis Blades next, so we may not even see the Curtis Blades fight. If Curtis Blades gets past Sergey Pavlovich, then he will almost be guaranteed a title fight. But Curtis Blades has to fight Sergey Pavlovich, and if he can't defeat Sergey, right, this whole him being the biggest threat to Jon Jones isn't. Jon Jones is not even thinking about Curtis Blades at the moment, as Jon Jones has his sight on Stipe Miocic next. So a lot of moving parts. I think it's very helpful for the UFC heavyweight division to get this type of attention, and then people will discover names like Tom Aspinall, Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades in the next few years. But let me know your opinion of this story. Who do you think is the biggest threat in the UFC heavyweight division for Jon Jones, the heavyweight champion? I'm Jason UFC. Today we had a story about UFC welterweight Belal Muhammad names Curtis Blades as Jon Jones' biggest threat in heavyweight division. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.